Sport Diplomat with Tanner Simkins is proudly sponsored by Built, redefining hydration and performance. Hello and welcome to Sport Diplomat. We're here with Dr. C, Cheryl Robinson, a columnist at Forbes and an author, as well as a consultant in various industries. Her main tagline or slogan, mantra, if you will, is embrace the pivot. And we're going to talk about what that means and a little bit more about her. But I will say that she's also a close friend and an industry ally. We went to school together, grad school at Columbia, and, been friends and colleagues ever since. We've done projects together. We've done conferences that we've hosted together. We keep the deal flow close. So it's a special guest for me today on Sport Diplomat. So welcome, Cheryl.
Yeah, so I like to share with people my snapshot. And my snapshot is I'm an international speaker, founder of Ready to Roar. I have a doctorate in organizational leadership, and I have a column at Forbes Women where I highlight women who have successfully pivoted in their career. And that has taken me down a whole new direction, which we can get into later.
Great. Yeah, no, I think I've seen your articles everywhere. I'm trying to think of a place I haven't seen your articles retweeted by this person or that celeb or this executive. And then, you know how the internet is. There's a lot of republishing out there and regurgitation of content. So I think I've seen some quotes appear here and there and on Instagram. So definitely have great reach, and you can't get better with Forbes. That's been, I imagine, a door opener for you.
A huge door opener. But if it wasn't for my past, especially when we met at Columbia, working in the sports industry, that helped me get to where I am today. And then once I landed that column at Forbes, it really opens up so many doors.
So it sounds like maybe you've embraced the pivot.
100%. And I continue to embrace the pivot every single day.
Yeah. Tell us what that means. What does embrace the pivot mean?
Embrace the pivot is knowing that you're going through a change, either personally or professionally, but knowing it doesn't have to be a negative experience, that you can actually make it positive. And how that came about was when I was talking to my former editor. She's no longer with the publication. She said to me, "What are you the expert in?" And that was such a heavy weighted question for me, because at the time I was doing sports marketing, and there are thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of other people doing sports marketing. So I never considered myself an expert. I was good at it, but not the expert. So I had to self-reflect and say, well, okay, what am I the expert at? Well, I'm good at failing forward. And at the time, no one was talking about failing because it's so taboo, right? Everyone just wants to seem like this overnight success, and they don't want to share what they actually had to go through. And she said, we have to make that a little bit more positive. So I had to self-reflect again. And I said, well, what does failing forward mean? And it means, well, when A doesn't work out, I go to B, C, D, etc. And I think right now I'm on like triple Z, right, for pivoting. But I said, oh, that's just pivoting. And she said, no one's talking about this topic. I always say the pandemic stole my word. And I rolled with it. She says, write about it. I want you to talk to other people, see how they pivoted through their careers. And that's where Embrace the Pivot came about. It's knowing that you're just in a transitional period. And if you look at it a certain way and you do certain steps, you will get to where you want to go.
Very interesting. Very interesting. I think for me, reading your articles off and on and when they cross my desk, that comes across, and that's evident, that theme. So I kind of knew the answer already.
Well, you have a leg up,
No, but it's telling that that's the message that you're trying to convey with the guests that you interview and stories that you share on your platform there. We were talking offline about my platform here or Sport Diplomat, or I'm doing something very similar where Sport and Diplomat, they're just branding words. Really, it's really trying to bring on someone who's has a unique perspective on some profession or some interesting field that they work in, and that they may be pivoting or may not be pivoting, but by using their position or occupation as an opportunity to open a new door or introduce a new opportunity. And for me, that's a Sport Diplomat, and so are you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
So, where can people find out more information about Ready to Roar? And tell us more details about what that is.
Yeah, so about 20 years ago, I thought Ready to Roar was such a cool name. And I created this LLC and I said, let's see where this goes. I've always been a consultant for, I want to say, the past 10 years. And I have pivoted that LLC so many times. And it's just when you either you outgrow what you're doing or you didn't think it was going to be what it is. So you just keep moving along, figuring it out. And just recently, I said, I always tell people I want to be a New York Times bestselling author. Well, to do that, you actually have to write. You have to sit down, force yourself to write the book. And as I'm in the middle of writing called What the Pivot, and it's my data that I collected for my dissertation. I did my dissertation on the art of pivoting, and all my data from the column. So as I'm writing this, I'm going, well, what do I want to do with this? Where do I see myself in 5-10 years? So now I'm actually pivoting Ready to Roar to be a digital publishing house where I can, in a couple of years, bring on other authors with me where we could share powerful messages in a cool format, because it's important that people continue to learn, to be that forever learner, especially as an entrepreneur, because that's where the success is. You just can't learn one thing and then be done. You have to keep up with the trends and just personally grow to get to where you want to be.
Yeah, that's powerful. I think from the consulting side of Ready to Roar, you have also become a thought leader too. I've seen you host industry panels, these speaking engagements that you had. Talk a little bit about that side of it. How I guess the writing helps too, but the consulting and the writing together really elevates your brand as well.
Yeah, going into the column, I never thought I would be a thought leader, but that's how it's turned out. And as I gather more information, because I feature women who have successfully pivoted in their careers, so I have all this data. I've interviewed close to 500 people now, if not more. And
sounds like a book. You should put it together as an anthology.
We'll have to talk offline.
Yeah, I don't want to give you too much free ideas here. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah. So it is about learning how to share those ideas. Right. And I've always loved public speaking. Give me a microphone. I turn on.
Yeah, you're great at it.
And I love inspiring others and speaking, the consulting. I do leadership workshops for organizations. I love seeing the light bulbs go off in other people, because what I'm telling you necessarily isn't new information, but how I present it, it gives you a different perspective of how to see it. And that's the cool part of being a thought leader, is showing people, hey, here's just a different way to look at it. Here's a different strategy to go about it. Let's help you get there.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And is that the oomph of the types of consulting work you do? Do you focus in on kind of transformation for a business or maybe an executive with the pivoting strategy?
Yeah.
Is that what you consult on? Okay.
Yeah, everything comes back to the pivot. There's so many things where you pivot on average, 1,000 times a day, and people don't even realize it.
Like a physical pivot?
So physical, like think of you're driving and you come to a detour. That's a pivot.
Yeah.
Your mindset, If you think, oh, this is great, I'm going to talk to this person, we're going to get going, and then the person pulls out of the project, that's a pivot.
Sure.
So you constantly have to pivot your mindset, whether you're leading others or managing up, managing down.
Right.
So that's a pivot. Your personal life is a pivot, and your professional life is a pivot. Everything you do is a pivot. So it's interesting. And it's just recognizing it, knowing it can be positive, and keep moving forward.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Recognizing those as, potential bold new opportunities as opposed to a bad thing. I keep thinking of my basketball days when you say pivot. I was at the pivot. That was my position. I was like a forward, and I was always at the top of the key, working my footwork. Fantastic. Yeah, that's great stuff. Tell me a little bit about the writing, because I know obviously you've taught classes, been a professor. Maybe that's in your future sometime soon, but I know right now your focus is on writing. In addition to the publishing house where you're recruiting new authors as a business owner, but you yourself also are a published author, and we were talking offline how you have a lot in the vault. You've got a lot in the archive ready to roll with.
Yes.
So here's your opportunity to share, whatever projects that you want to plug, or tell us what you got going on.
Yeah. So I'm launching a children's book line. And then I'm also launching an adult line where adults can learn with children. And I'll get into more, like maybe we can have another podcast next year about
follow up.
Yeah, follow up. And I'm doing that, just doing the leadership workshops. If anyone has a corporation that would like to bring me in to talk about the pivot and how their employees can pivot their perception, you can find all my information at drcherylrobinson.com. Everything is there. And I'm also just started my modeling career, which I'm so excited about. And my second photo shoot is coming up soon. So I'm really excited.
Great. Congrats. That sounds like, knowing you and the smart entrepreneur and business person you are, you'll probably find a way to tie that all together.
Oh, yeah.
Get some type of brand collaboration partnership deal where you're in their front offices teaching them how to pivot. And then, oh, by the way, you're marketing their product and this and that, and modeling. And then, oh, by the way, let's write a recap ebook about it. Something. I'm sure you'll find a way.
Yeah. And if I could just plug in, if anyone would like to connect with me on Instagram at Embrace the Pivot, I follow back. So please connect.
Great. Well, that's all I got. I promised you short and sweet. That's how we do it. We're not trying to be Joe Rogan or anybody. We're just about short kind of pods you could put in the car when you're running, or somewhere. Just put in the earphones and listen to a cool new professional that you may not know about, and then do your own digging afterwards. So thank you so much for joining us. Like I mentioned earlier, just personally, it's been so fun and refreshing to see your growth as your career has taken off from when I met you at Columbia. And you also are so fantastic at the networking too. For the listeners, a little personal anecdote here. Cheryl keeps the whole network together. She keeps all the alumni together. She organizes meetups, and without her, we probably wouldn't even have any idea what's going on. So thank you for that too, because the power of networking is important. It's important.
It's not about the quantity of your network. It's about the quality. And I look at it as I am genuinely interested in the other person I'm speaking to. I want to get to know you, and going in with that mindset is where you develop the relationships. And it doesn't happen overnight, right? When we first met, it wasn't that, we're instantly best friends. It took a couple years to get to where we are today, and we have a great relationship. And that's what it's about. Networking is about the long-term game, not the short term.
Yes. And I think authenticity too. If you approach it, how you do and I do, where look, I'm here for you and the value you bring to the table. This isn't a means to the end of what I can get out of the relationship. I value who you are and what you do. I think that's important too.
Yep, 100%. Yeah. Because you just never know where someone's going to be in 5 or 10 years, or if they're working on a project, they bring you in, you just never know. So you just keep the communication lines open.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Dr. C.
Thank you so much.